Physics. Physics is the science of what goes up, so it can come down and break your nose. It starts with Newton, a guy who saw an apple fall and decided gravity was more important than pi. He gave us 3 laws of motion, which basically say, things move, things keep moving, and you're not special. Then there's energy, which is always conserved, except in your body during Mondays. Kinetic energy is when you lift a box. Potential energy is when you drop it on your foot. In physics, every force has an equal and opposite reaction. So when life punches you in the face, that's just nature being polite. Then Einstein shows up with relativity and ruins time. Apparently time isn't real. It stretches, it bends, it breaks, like your brain trying to pass the class. Quantum physics? That's where things get weird. Particles are waves, waves are particles, and nothing exists until you look at it. Schrödinger's cat is both alive and dead, much like you during exams. Black holes are places where physics gives up and screams into the void, kind of like your teacher grading your test. In short, physics is the universe holding your hand, then using it to slap you. Mathematics. Mathematics is the subject that takes everything you love, like numbers, and turns them into nightmares that stare back. It began when someone needed to count beyond their fingers and ran out of relatives. Then someone invented 0 because they wanted a number to represent their love life. Addition is fine. Subtraction is tolerable. But then comes division. Suddenly you're splitting pizza with 7 people, and 3 of them are imaginary. Mathematics is divided into branches. Algebra, which is solving for x, because x left a note and ran away. Geometry, which teaches you how to measure sadness using triangles. People say math is the language of the universe. That's comforting, because the universe clearly hates us and uses fractions to prove it. In math, you learn that 2 negatives make a positive. So technically, her ignoring you twice means you're basically dating. Math is used in real life, like calculating how broke you'll be after college, or how fast your life falls apart if you take out a mortgage. History. History is the study of everything humans did wrong, written down so we can do it again, with better technology. It starts with cavemen discovering fire, and immediately using it to burn each other. Fast forward, and civilization blooms, which mostly means someone invented taxes, and someone else invented war. History is just a long list of people who wanted land, power, or attention, and usually got all 3 by stabbing their cousins. The Egyptians built pyramids so big, people still can't figure out how. But the real mystery is why they didn't build a single decent toilet. The Greeks gave us philosophy, the Romans gave us roads, and both gave us centuries of statues, with missing noses. Then came the Middle Ages, where people died from soup and thought bathing was witchcraft. If you survived the plague, congratulations, you now get to live until 35. Then came colonization, the world tour of stealing with a flag. Then came the 20th century, 2 world wars, 1 Cold War, and the invention of reality TV, which may have been the most damaging of all. Physical education. PE, or physical education, is the class where you sprint, sweat, and suffer, while pretending that sweating in polyester builds character. It starts with stretching, which is just adult-approved torture in slow motion. Then you run laps for warm-up, which is gym teacher code for I hate children. You're told it's about fitness, but it's mostly survival. Dodgeball is a socially acceptable way to throw stuff at people you don't like. PE teaches teamwork, which means everyone blames you when the dodgeball hits Becky in the nose. There's always one kid built like a fridge, one who runs like a gazelle, and you who pulls a muscle just tying your shoes. Then come the sports. Basketball, you miss every shot. Soccer, you kick air and injure your pride. Frisbee, that's just fetch, except you are the dog, and no one's bringing snacks. Health lessons get shoved in too. You learn that your body is a temple, one that eats Doritos at midnight, and creaks like an ancient crypt every time you stand up. Biology. Biology is the study of life, which is ironic because most of it involves things rotting, mutating, or being dissected. It starts with the cell, the building block of life. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, but sadly, it can't charge your motivation. Then there's DNA. It's made of 4 letters, A, T, G, and C. Their combinations determine everything about you. Your height, your eye color, your weird attraction to people who always ghost you. You inherit half from your mom, half from your dad, and the worst traits from both. Dad gives you his hairline. Mom gives you her anxiety. Your therapist thanks them both. Mutations happen when DNA gets bored. That's how you get freckles, lactose intolerance, or a third nipple in a fun spot. Evolution says humans came from apes, which makes sense, because half the class still throws things, and eats like raccoons in a dumpster. Plants do photosynthesis, which is magic, powered by sun, water, and the quiet smugness of never having to get a job. Chemistry. Chemistry is the science of stuff exploding when you don't mean it to. It all starts with atoms, tiny invisible tantrum machines made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. They're basically the dysfunctional family you never asked for, held together by sheer passive aggression. Chemistry teaches you that everything is made of elements. There's even a table for them, because nothing makes you feel more dead inside than memorizing 118 different ways the universe can kill you. Hydrogen? Super flammable. Fluorine? Eats glass. And mercury? That's what happens when a metal gets divorced and loses custody of its solid state. Reactions happen when atoms trade electrons, like shady deals in a dark alley. Sometimes they make water. Sometimes they make poison. It's all about surprises. Acids and bases? Just angry liquids trying to outburn each other. One can melt metal, the other can melt your GPA. Organic chemistry? That's where hope goes to rot. It's like regular chemistry, but with more carbon and more crying. Every molecule has a name longer than your student loan. Civics. Civics is the study of how society pretends it's organized. It starts with government, the system we created so we could blame someone else when things go wrong. There's democracy, where everyone gets a voice and then ignores it. Then there's dictatorship, where one guy gets a voice and uses it to cancel elections and buy tanks. Civics teaches you about rights, like freedom of speech, unless you say something dumb on X. Then it's just freedom to be roasted by 12-year-olds. You learn about laws, which are rules people follow, unless they're rich or holding office. Jaywalk, and you get a ticket. Start a Ponzi scheme, and you get a yacht. There are branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. They're supposed to balance each other, but mostly just pass blame like a hot potato in a courtroom. Voting is encouraged. You get one vote once in a while, and you use it to pick the least disappointing liar. In the end, civics is knowing how power works, so you can watch it be abused, smile politely, and say, "Yes, officer," while Googling how to move to Canada. Geography. Geography is the study of knowing where things are, so you can still get lost, but feel educated about it. It starts with maps, flat lies about a round world, pretending Greenland is the size of Africa. Spoiler, it's not. There are 7 continents, massive land chunks that decided to drift apart millions of years ago, much like your family after Thanksgiving. Then there are oceans, so big we call them beautiful, just to avoid asking, what's really down there? Geography teaches us that deserts are dry, the poles are cold, and Florida is somehow still above sea level, though scientists remain baffled. It also teaches you about mountains, rivers, and the capital of Luxembourg, which is Luxembourg. Useful information if you're ever kidnapped by a very specific trivia-obsessed maniac. You learn about climate zones: tropical, arid, temperate, and why do people live here? Population studies? It's just counting how many people you can cram into a city before someone starts throwing elbows. English. English is the subject where you learn a language you already speak, just worse. It starts with grammar, a system of rules invented to make you feel stupid for talking like a normal human. I before E except after C sounds helpful, until you meet weird C's and a full-blown identity crisis. Then comes literature, where you read books written by dead people who never used a single normal sentence. Shakespeare invented 1,700 words, just so teenagers could cry over metaphors in a play where everyone dies for no reason. Essay writing? That's the art of saying the same thing 5 times in different ways, until the teacher gives up and gives you a B. English also teaches you about tone, theme, and irony, which is ironic because nothing ruins your love for reading like being forced to find the hidden meaning in a book about a whale. In the end, English is learning how to read, write, and cry, often at the same time, because nothing says language mastery like overanalyzing a paragraph the author wrote during a hangover. Art. Art is the subject where you express your soul, unless your soul draws like a potato with a head injury. It starts with drawing, where you learn that a human face apparently has 47 shades of misery. Then comes painting, which is just crying in color, while pretending you meant to smudge that. Art is where teachers say there are no mistakes until you use glitter. Then it's a felony. You study famous artists who cut off ears, painted soup cans, or taped a banana to a wall and called it $120,000. Meanwhile, you're over here failing for coloring outside the lines. Then there's sculpture, the fine art of turning a lump of clay into a slightly worse lump of clay. Your cat looks like a melted toaster with trauma. Then you put it on display, and someone asks if it's supposed to be a shoe. In the end, art teaches you that beauty is subjective, pain is marketable, and the weirder your work, the more likely it ends up in a gallery, or burned in the school dumpster, right next to your hopes, dreams, and that glue gun that never worked. Alright, thanks for watching. See you later.